And people would certainly say that, let's say, about the Catholic Church, or at least the way that it's been portrayed, is that with all the sexual corruption, for example, it's like, really, you believe that the Son of God, that Jesus Christ was the Son of God, and yet you act that way, and I'm supposed to buy your belief.
On the one hand, I agree. I love holding the bar so high that you could ask the question, do you really believe in God, that Jesus was his son, that you have the Holy Spirit? Do you believe the things because your life seems to not say that you do? Hey guys, thanks for watching Pastor Mark Reacts. Today we're in conversation with Jordan Peterson. Big questions about the existence of God and pain and suffering and how it affects our view of whether God exists. Hopefully you like it. Share it with a friend if it's helpful to you.
I mean, people have asked me whether or not I believe in God, and I've answered in various ways. No, but I'm afraid he probably exists. That's one answer. Yeah, no, but I'm terrified he might exist. That would be a truthful answer to some degree. Or that I act as if God exists, which I think is, I do my best to do that. But then there's a real stumbling block there, because there's no limit to what would happen if you acted like God existed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I believe that acting that out fully, I mean, maybe it's not reasonable to say to believers, you aren't sufficiently transformed for me to believe that you believe in God, or that you believe the story that you're telling me. You're not a sufficient, the way you live isn't sufficient testament to the truth. And people would certainly say that, let's say, about the Catholic Church, or at least the way that it's been portrayed, is that with all the sexual corruption, for example, it's like, really, you believe that the Son of God, that Jesus Christ was the Son of God, and yet you act that way, and I'm supposed to buy your belief. And it seems to me that the church is actually quite guilty on that account, because the attempts to clean up the mess have been rather half-hearted in my estimation.
So let's talk about that for a second, because I think on the one hand he's making a brilliant observation. On the other hand, I think it can be an unfair criticism. On the one hand, I agree. I love holding the bar so high that you could ask the question, do you really believe in God, that Jesus was his son, that you have the Holy Spirit? Do you believe the things because your life seems to not say that you do? Like, you really don't, because I look at your life and you look the same, act the same, you live the same as everybody else. So I don't think you really believe this. And I think that's a fair thing for people to hold the church as a standard. I think in the New Testament, the Apostle Paul, when he's writing about leaders, holds exactly that standard. He goes, you can't be lovers of money, you can't be sleeping around, you can't be this, you can't be that. And so there's this, yes, let's put a high standard on the church to actually follow habitually in the way of what they believe. 1000% agree. I think looking and going, look, the Catholic Church might not believe this because there's some sexual stuff. I agree. That is horrific. It's terrible. But when you look at the majority of people who would call themselves Christians, you can, of course, always find examples of, look at the derangement, look at the abuse, look at these scenarios, and go, ergo, let's throw the whole thing out. But I think that's dangerous. I think when you look at the hypocrisy of the church, there, of course, are going to be people who fumble Christianity, but that's not a reason to deny and not believe in Jesus. The people trying to follow Jesus, whether those are the institutions or the leaders or the systems or the regular Joe on the street, they're trying to follow Jesus, but they sometimes hack it and they fumble it and they do a bad job. And hypocrisy is a problem in the church. And yes, we are the people where none of those abuses, none of that stuff should ever take place. Racism shouldn't take place. Abuses shouldn't take place, of course. But to make sure that we don't evaluate the truth of Christianity based on Christians. It's the difference of saying, I believe in Einstein's math, but I might not believe in Einstein's mathematics anymore because I heard Einstein was a bad guy, or he fumbled it, or he didn't do. It's like the question of Jesus himself is a different question than the question of the church. The church are people trying to follow the ways of Jesus. Let's clear all that aside and look at the person and the work of Jesus and evaluate Christianity based on that versus the people who atrociously fumble it, because many of those abuses, they're not Christians. The people who take power and oppress people and use the cross to do geopolitical wars, one issue is they may never be Christians. They're just using it for whatever. And the other version is they might be Christians, but they're just bad at it. And they're at the beginning of a lifelong, process of sanctification that's going to happen in heaven in the end, and they're going to fumble it and make mistakes and sin all along the way. I just don't want to make the category mistake of judging the truth of Christianity based on Christians versus Christ himself.
One of these theologians discussed the idea of, and sorry, I want to let you get back to your point, but he discussed the idea of the yoke of Christ being light and that there was joy in it. And there's a paradox there, obviously, because it's also a take up your cross and follow me sort of thing. But the fact that I've been living in constant pain makes the idea of joy seem cruel, I would say. And I have no idea how to reconcile myself to that. I mean, I've reconciled myself to that by staying alive, despite it.
Yeah, I think he's raising a really good point, that I think Christianity has a very unique entry point to the world. If you look at most religious philosophies and systems, what you have is, let's take Buddhism, for instance, suffering that he's talking about, going through difficulty, is seen as an illusion. It's not real. And so in certain New Age thinking even, you've got to deny suffering and evil. They're not real. Don't admit they're real. Positive thinking will get you out of these scenarios. Religious systems will create a scenario where it's like, yeah, suffering, in an atheistic framework, suffering has no place in the story. It's just, it's part of nature, red in tooth and claw. It has no meaning. It has no purpose. And of course, that creates a kind of emptiness and a version of it where some people have said, what, if there's no meaning and purpose to any of this, then let's just end it. Where Christianity comes in and offers something beautiful to a sufferer like Jordan Peterson, who's gone through all these terrible things, and his daughter has, and all the physical pain in the body and so on, is you look at the reflection of 2,000 years of Christian history as it looks at Jesus, as Isaiah calls him, the man of sorrows. Christianity is this concept where evil and suffering and pain is actually central to the whole thing. It's not an aside. It's actually the way in which God is redeeming the world, and God has come down to identify. Jürgen Moltmann talks about this a lot, of the God who feels pathos. He's been involved in hearing the suffering of his people and been in it, incarnate in a sense, in the pillar of fire by day and the pillar of fire by night, and pillar of cloud by day. And I've been hearing the things of my people since the Exodus, and with them, and now ultimately in the person of Jesus. And then Jesus is suffering. He's in pain constantly in his life. And of course, the climax of his whole story is a terrible suffering and murder and ostracization from the Father, all emotional, physical. And at least in the midst of that, it's not to answer Jordan Peterson's question and say, well, hey, don't worry, Jesus suffered too. It's like the whole Christian story is about how God uses this and is in the midst of it. He's not separate from it, and it's not an aside. And I think, well, it doesn't answer the question of the why behind every moment of suffering in every person's life. It doesn't do that, and we're never going to understand that. Christianity is this beautiful thing where it says it's not because he didn't care. He entered into it, and suffering is now a core part of the entire philosophy and theology of Christianity in a way that it isn't in any other worldview. And I think that that's something that connects with us, and there's a reason for it, and there's hope to be found in it. Again, not answers to every moment of suffering in our life, but there's something cruciform in it that can be grabbed onto, very different than anything any other religion or philosophy has to offer. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Please like this video, subscribe to this YouTube channel if these videos are helpful for you. Make sure you share them too. Thanks for watching.